told them we would record it for them, so there we go. All right.
All right, so anything you want to share about people outliving their retirement?
Yeah, so in my case, my grandma actually, she lived to be 93, and her income ran out when she was, probably 86. So myself, my parents, and a lot of family members kind of pitched in to help her those last few years. And I think that is a very common thing, and I also think that, kind of with the way that the economy is going, that's going to be a more common thing. So, that kind of hits home for me. Being able to support yourself through retirement is something at my age most people don't think about a lot, but as you get older, it's something that you really got to plan for now. And the traditional way, as we will show you, the traditional system is somewhat broken.
We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight too, and show some examples and some actual case studies around retirement and those types of situations. So what else are we doing this for? Real estate investing has opened up a lot of possibilities for Ian and myself that we would not have been able to accomplish otherwise. So we want to share that knowledge with other individuals and hopefully plant some seeds in your guys' minds where you can also follow those same footsteps. We receive a lot of help in our own journeys, and we want to give back to other people. We wouldn't be here today, and we wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't have some help from all the individuals that helped us through that process as well as far as getting started. The ultimate limited resource is time. So we believe to live a fulfilling life, you must spend your time doing things that are meaningful to you, including contribution and giving back. So that's another reason why we're here tonight, is we want to give back to our community. Most everybody's here from Kansas City, I'm assuming. Do you want to?
I'm saying pay it forward.
Pay it forward. That's right. So this is me. I am full-time.
You're supposed to get a new picture.
I was. This is an old picture.
Well,
one
his
gray
picture
now.
matches your picture, so we have to change yours.
But it's me, as you can see, same mugshot. But I am a full-time real estate investor and entrepreneur. I have a couple businesses. I also invest in real estate full-time. I've been doing that for over 3 years. Before that, I spent a lot of time in jail for 17 years. It's in the corporate world, working for Harley-Davidson Motor Company. We went through a lot of ups and downs during that 17 years, but that's who I worked for in corporate America. And I went to a little gray box every day and did my job, did it to the best of my abilities, and thought that's what I was supposed to do until I found real estate investing and some other things that led me into or out of that world. So I currently split my time between real estate, investing, running a construction rehab company, and then also coaching new real estate investors on how to build their portfolio passively, so passive income portfolio building. I have used a combination of buy and hold, flipping, BRRRR strategy, and to build a large rental portfolio. So that's it. That's it for me.
All right, so I'm Ian Reeves, so I am the one that works a full-time job. So I work a full-time job, and I also am a pretty active real estate investor on the side. I've also used kind of the same strategies, so buy and hold, BRRRR strategy, which if you don't know what that is, we'll get into it later. House flipping and partnering to acquire large portfolios. So right now I'm involved in over 90 rental units. I've also mentored several people, so I have probably about a dozen people right now that I'm mentoring and helping them through buying their, I think I'm actually north of that now. I've got a lot of people to buy duplexes, so we'll go over that later. And I was recently featured as a guest on Bigger Pockets. A lot of you guys probably know me from there, so that's the world's largest real estate business. It's a good episode, too. So real quick, I'm going to introduce our team. We're going to actually allow them to get up and speak a little bit later in our presentation, but Susan, where are you? Back there, so that's Susan Ovid. She's with Merchants Mortgage. She's one of our short-term lenders. We got David Green with Accurate Title. He's there in the back, too. Brent Vocal, he's with Vocal Property Management. We got Scott and Sarah Kaufman up here. They're with our insurance company. And then Scott Alt is unable to make it here, so Matt and Scott, they run Alt Group, and they do some of the rehabs for us. Brannigan was unable to make it tonight. She had a sick kid, but Alyssa Dieter is, where Diter, sorry, she's right there in the bar. So she's one of our real estate agents, so appreciate you guys being here, and some of you actually sponsored this event too, so we really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, sponsors. Yeah. So what's your investing goal? Does anybody want to share what their investing goal is? Even if you're not started, do you know what you want to accomplish? Why do you want to get started investing in real estate? You gotta have a reason, you gotta have a why.
Early financial freedom.
To relieve financial
Or
freedom.
early financial freedom.
Early
As of
financial
early
freedom.
into retirement.
Okay. Anyone else have another reason? Bill?
Actually, financial freedom and then building a large portfolio with yourself.
So financial freedom, again, I think is the gist of it, right?
My goal is always to get the passive income to exceed my necessities. So that's always what my goal, get enough passive income per month to pay off every bill I have.
Why is that?
So I can work when I want, not when I have to.
So time freedom as well? Like flexibility, freedom? Okay.
Legacy, something to pass down to the family.
I love that.
That's one of the great things about real estate is just because you die doesn't mean the real estate goes away. You can pass on that portfolio of trust.
That's right. Did everyone hear what he said? He said legacy. You guys here in the back okay? All right. So yeah, these are some of the investing goals. You know, what's your reason for investing in real estate? Early extra income, early financial freedom or retirement, security, lifestyle, time freedom. That's mine. More secure retirement and unlimited earning potential. Right?
Let me ask you, do you work more or do you work less than you used to?
Overall, I work the same amount, but I love working on my own stuff as opposed to working on someone else's stuff because it benefits me.
So this is one of the key concepts I want to cover tonight. So this is active income versus passive income. So passive income obviously is going to be something we're talking about a lot. So with active income, basically you're doing 1 unit of work and you're getting 1 unit of pay. Your pay is basically proportional to the amount of value that you can provide in 1 hour. So you get paid on an hourly basis, but when you really think about it, you're getting paid on the amount of value that you can provide on an hourly basis for 90% of Americans working a W-2 job. So as with any W-2 job, if you stop working, your pay is also going to stop. And even though there are some very high income earners with W-2 jobs, you know, you still have somewhat of a limited earning potential because you're always tied to that how much value you can provide on an hourly basis, unless you own a large company. So passive income is basically, I'm going to do the work one time and I'm going to continue to get paid over time from it. So the pay is basically proportional to the value that you can provide regardless of the amount of time. So we're obviously going to be talking about real estate investing. There's other ways of doing this, but when you think about it from a real estate investing perspective, so I'm providing a quality home for a person for their lifetimes. That is one of their basic 4 needs. So by providing housing for people, that is a very large amount of value that I'm able to provide, even though I actually did the work of acquiring that property one time. So stop working, continue to get paid, and as you buy more and more cash flowing assets, you really don't have a limit to how much earning potential you can generate. So this is the slide that I really hope kind of hits home for you guys as to why the conventional save 10%, put in a 401k mutual fund method of thinking is broken. So right now, this is going to show you basically if you save 10% of your income at $50,000, which that's the median income in the U.S. right now, and at an average interest rate, so 9.4%, that's the average stock market return since 1900. And that includes appreciation of dividends. I know a lot of people that are actually getting less than that. I know in my 401k I was actually making less than that. So here's basically what's going to happen with that conventional plan. So after 7 years, you're going to have $45,000. After 9, you got 70. And after 32 years of working your butt off, you have $1 million in the bank. So now what you're going to do is you're going to quit. And you're going to hope that that money, you're going to start drawing off of that money and hope that you die before the money runs out, right? So that's kind of the conventional way of thinking. But the problem is we have this thing called inflation. So, you know, right now the advertised inflation rate is 3%. I could get into an argument over why I think it's way more than that, but I'm not going to. So based on 3% inflation, that's going to leave you $388,000 in today's purchasing power to live on. So at $40,000 a year, that's going to give you less than 10 years of retirement with $1 million in the bank. So I know $1 million sounds like a lot of money, but when you start doing the math, it's really not. Another interesting statistic, so I was actually doing some research for this on American finances, and I think it was 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and it was something like in the above 50% have less than $1,000 in the bank. So like the average economic situation of the average American is a pretty dire situation, I would say. So obviously, if you live longer, if you have medical expenses, so with my grandparents, that absolutely happened. We had medical expenses. My grandpa had cancer, had to pay for all that. And that is happening more and more again. So then you become a burden on your family, and it's a really big issue. So this is what we're teaching you tonight. This is what Matt and I would call the slow method to financial freedom. But even so, we're going to show you just how much more powerful this is. So this is the property that Matt and I, finished rehabbing recently. I would say this is representative of a typical property, income, cash flow property that you can buy here in Kansas City. So we're going to say $20,000 equity capture up front, $200 a month net cash flow after all expenses, and $60,000 property. So assuming you have to put 20% down, that is going to be about $12,000 as your down payment. So step one, you're basically going to take that same 10% of your income, which was the $420 a month, and now you're going to start saving up for the down payment. So to get your first $12,000 down payment, that's going to take you 29 months. Then you buy your first property. So step two is purchase the property with $12,000 down, 20% down on $60K property. So now you can take that $200 a month passive income from that property, and you can add that to the $420 that you were already saving. So now you're saving $620 a month where you're saving $420 before. And then you repeat this step over and over again, and you can see there's an exponential curve. So as you start to acquire property, the rate at which your savings starts to increase, which lets you get properties faster and faster. So 20 months to save another 12, 15 months after that, then 12 and 10. And after 10, let's see, I think we're on the side. Basically, by year 7, you have approximately $150,000 in equity and $1,400 a month in cash flow. So here's where things really start to get interesting. So now that you have all this equity, you can actually tap into that equity by doing a cash out refi. You can sell and trade up. So I can sell one property and have enough equity in it to actually take that one property and turn it into 2. So if you're buying at a discount, you're getting a little bit of appreciation and you're getting the loan pay down. You have enough equity in every property to where you should be able to double your portfolio every 4 to 5, 6 years, depending on how much of a discount that you bought it at. So that's pretty much the strategy. So, after year 7, you have 8 properties now. You've got about $2,000 a month. And now it's only taking you 6 months to save up and buy that next property. Basically, you're going to continue to repeat this process of taking all your excess cash flow, adding that to your savings, and then strategically pulling equity out of the properties that you bought the earliest and use that money to go buy more. And basically, after year 15, and this is doing absolutely nothing creative, this is just buying good cash flow properties at a discount, you can easily get to 30 properties in 15 years. And that is literally doing nothing mind-blowing. This is turning everything over to a property manager, letting them do all the hard work. Brent back there, letting him do all the hard work. Of actually managing the tenants and all that. You're just basically an owner, right? So what does that get you? So 30 properties, you're now a net worth millionaire. You have approximately $6,000 a month in passive income. And you can now retire comfortably regardless of what your age is. So if you were 25 when you started doing this, you can conceivably retire by age 40. And you have pretty much complete freedom. And what this is not even taking into account is that's just the cash flow piece of it. So you're also building down equity in those properties still. So all that money that you were recycling into buying more properties, you can strategically strip that and add that to the income. Honestly, with about 20 properties, you can very easily make 6 figures by strategically pulling out some of that income or equity.
So you guys motivated you? By interested? All right.
I saw this, so I can't remember who posted it. I was like, stealing that and sticking it in the slideshow.
So we're going to have questions and answers at the end of our discussion tonight. But if you guys have some questions about what we just discussed, now may be a good time to ask them since it's all fresh in our mind. Does anyone have specific specific questions around what Ian just shared? Around the case
This is
study?
the slow method.
What you just shared is the
That
slow
was the
method?
slow method, yeah.
Yeah. It's 15 years to get to that. But that doesn't mean you have to drive at that speed. You can drive as fast as you want in this business as long as you're ready to support it and take the action to get there. So that's just a very safe and,
It's like a very conservative model.
conservative model. I like that. So if there's no questions, we'll continue. But if you got questions, you can ask.
Well, what makes it conservative is just because it's a repeatable process and it's.
You're not rehabbing properties, you're just buying them at a discount. So like, you're not building a business out of it, you're literally just buying as an investment. So there's no, work that you're doing to the properties to get more income.
So
And
is
the other
the
thing
answer
is,
that you're not
It's
active?
less of your time. So if I'm a full-time employee, such as myself, that method is pretty easy. I'm buying at the most a few properties a year. Honestly, that's not that much work. That's something that you can very easily do with an hour or two of your time, here and there to accomplish that. So it's not a lot of time commitment to do that while also working.
And we'll talk about team members, but in that scenario, you're not the guy or the girl swinging hammers. You're not the person doing the rehab on the property. You're not the one managing that property. You have team members to do that for you. So those numbers that Ian went over, those are all including those team members in that bid.
So if you manage the properties yourself, you could probably get more like $300 a month in cash flow. But that is saying that everything is 100% managed by a property manager and all that. You're not doing any of the work yourself. So that's where that $200. We'll get into the numbers later, but that's just from our personal experience and the type of property that we buy.
All right. So how do you start? Well, you got to get crystal clear on your why and your goals first. We're going to go through each of these in depth here in a minute. You got to get educated. You got to pick a strategy that aligns with your goals. You got to figure out what you want your goals to be so that all of your actions and your investing supports those goals. You got to build your team, like we talked about a minute ago. You have to determine your personal investing criteria, which also supports your goals. Then you got to take action. I think that's the most important one. Knowledge is just knowledge. So if you don't take action, then you just got a lot of knowledge, right? It doesn't really change anything. So that's how you start. We're going to go through these more in depth. All right, so how do you identify your why? This is a great quote from Derek Sivers. If more information was the answer, we would all be billionaires with six-pack abs. We all have plenty of information, right? There's plenty of information out there.
The analogy I like to use here is like the smoker, right? So people know they shouldn't smoke, but there's a big difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it. So we're going to kind of dive. I'm really big on the psychology and the motivation part of it, so we're going to kind of dive into that stuff.
All right, so first bullet point here, emotions drive behavior. Until your should becomes a must, you likely won't make a change. You have to identify your pain points. Why do you need to make a change? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What's not working for you now so that you can make a change and implement actions to change it? You got to identify what's driving you. You got to take some time to really reflect on that and figure out what excites you. There's a lot of different things you can do when you say investing in real estate. There's a lot of different avenues you can take, but what fits your why? What fits your goals? This reminds me? All right.
I switched these all last night.
So you have to define your goals. So goals come in three packages. Big picture, long term, 5 years to 10 years. You have your yearly goals, and then you got your short term or weekly goals. And then those can even be broken down further into daily activities you do. So you really have to look, where do you want to go in the long run? Establish your 5 to 10 year goal and your plan and what you want your life to look like then, and then work backwards. And you got to fill in the gaps. Well, what can I do in 5 years to get to my 10 year? What can I do in my 1 year to support my 5 year? What can I do today to support my 1 year? They all roll up. Without that, you don't really get a lot of traction.
It's okay to change them. Like mine change like on a weekly basis. When I first started out, my original goal was financial freedom in I think 15 years. That's my original goal. So as you start to learn this stuff, it will, your goals will get more aggressive.
Yep, sure. Defining your goals again, big picture is long term. Some of the things you want to put in place, you want to have a certain amount of passive income by a certain date. That's a very concrete goal, right? Something to work toward. And a time frame, it's time bound. You also could say, I want to own a certain number of doors by a certain date. It's also concrete. You want to buy a certain number of properties this year. These are all examples of goals that you can put together around real estate investing that would then drive your activity to support those. Short-term goals. You got to focus on the process. You got to trust the process. You got to break down the large goals into manageable chunks. How do you eat an elephant? Anybody ever heard that?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time, right? Kind of silly, but it's true. I don't see a lot of people eating elephants, but it's true. So what's the next thing that you can do today to move closer to your goals? You don't have to take a lot of action today, just take some action. Start making movements towards your end goals. Spend a certain number of hours a week on real estate investing education. You got to educate yourself, right? How else are you going to figure it out? How else are you going to learn? So commit to spending a certain number of hours of your week on education for yourself, self-improvement. What's better than that? Is there a better investment? I don't think so. So if you don't put those concrete things in there and those concrete goals and set that aside, you're not going to do it, most likely. How many hours are in a day? Does everybody know that? 24. Same as I have, same as you have, same as every person in here has. It all depends on what you do with those 24 hours that makes a difference. So schedule your day out. Make them useful. Another goal that you can put for short term is analyze a certain numbers per week. So go online, go on MLS, talk to wholesalers, whatever you want to do. Analyze a certain number of properties per week. Get good at that. That's where a lot of the important stuff happens in real estate investing is through deal analysis. So get good at analyzing properties. We're going to talk a little bit about deal analysis. Make a certain number of offers per week. That's a scary one for some people. And make the offer.
That's something I hear a lot is, I haven't been able to get any deals. And I ask them, well, how many offers did you make last week? I didn't make any. Right? Gotta make an offer.
So you guys have already done this. You showed up at a network event this week. Great, that's awesome. You're networking. Our team's here. Get their contact information. Get everybody sitting around you. Connect with them. And maybe future partners with you. Maybe future assets for you in your real estate investing career. So make a goal. How many events am I going to attend over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and so on? And then interview a certain number of team members. So as you get through, you get started in your real estate investing career, you got to build your team. You're not going to do all the work yourself, are you? You might be able to swing hammers. You might be able to go to school for a number of years and become a real estate attorney, but do you want to do that? You don't want to be your own real estate attorney. You go to school to do that. You'd have to figure out every single spot on that team and then go get educated on all that. So leverage your team members. Build your team.
So I want to talk a little bit about education, excuse me. So education is something that I'm really, really big on. So how do you learn? So there's books, there's podcasts, forums, YouTube, mentors, coaches, seminars. There's tons of different ways about getting this information. The fact is that this information is all out there and it's all in books and it's all very cheap or almost free. So it is absolutely out there. Myself, in a matter of 4 months when I was first learning how to do this, I probably listened to or read 60 books. I was just obsessed with my education part of it. If you guys haven't discovered Bigger Pockets yet, I'm a huge fan of that site. They're awesome. Listen to all the podcasts. That's really good for motivation and stuff like that. Mentors, so a lot of people will try to, if you're trying to find a mentor, so my suggestion there would be, find somebody that's doing what you want to do, but don't just ask them for their time. Go figure out, how can I provide some value? So offer to help them, things like that. So I never really had a mentor per se, but I did a lot of networking, like events like this. And I basically had people that I could call on. So if I got stuck on something, I could call them and, hey, how do I do this? It's like my second deal was a sub 2, which I don't know if you guys know what that is, but the sticking points of figuring out how to do that was really tricky, and I had to call somebody that had done it before. That was super helpful. then coaching, so I did not hire a coach. Looking back, I could definitely see the benefit of having somebody there to guide you through the different steps. So Matt does offer coaching, so talk to him if that's something you're interested in. Matt actually did have a coach when he was learning how to do this, so he had a coach, now he is the coach. So there's different ways, people learn different ways, but getting educated, it's like Bigger Pockets, for example. If you listen to every single Bigger Pockets episode, you will have learned 99% of the mistakes that you can make investing. And if you just learn from those people's mistakes, that is the best way to learn rather than making it yourself. Because it's expensive when you make those mistakes yourself. So you can literally prevent, I would say, 90% of the most common screw-ups can be prevented, if you just really work on it. So education, so this is something else that if you guys know me, I'm really big into. So I'm like a huge studier of successful people. That's just something I'm kind of obsessed with. And it's not just real estate investors, but I read a lot of biographies, I read a lot about psychology and like human performance and stuff like that. And when you start to do that, you'll start to notice these patterns with people that do really well. So there's kind of like 3 different areas of education. So there's like the real estate or industry specific knowledge. There's like the business skills side of it, and there's also kind of self-development, and I think that's where a lot of people actually kind of screw up is they focus on the real estate specific and maybe a little bit of business, but they don't actually work on themselves and all the things, the qualities that you have to kind of develop in yourself to be a successful business. So real estate specific knowledge, would be like how to analyze around property, what are the different strategies, understanding lending. I could probably talk for a whole day just about lending. Estimating rehab costs, market knowledge, there's all those specific skills that you absolutely need to have. But then there's like the business skills. So, as Matt was saying, we got a team, we don't work in a bubble. We're working with people all day long. We got our contractors, the buyers, we have the people that we're buying the houses from. There's a lot of kind of soft skills that you need to have to be a good real estate investor. So that's, managing people, managing contractors, how do you work together with different personalities, things like that. Growing and scaling a business, procedures, delegating, lending, pinch points, and managing risk. So like a lot of times I'll see like mom and pop house flippers, a great example where it's a husband and wife team and they buy a house, they do all the work themselves, it takes them 6 months and they sell it and make 30 grand. And they're really proud of themselves and it's an awesome thing that they're doing. If you really want to build and scale a business, you got to figure out, well, how do I prevent myself from being the pinch point? Right? So like, right off the bat, Matt and I are like, how do we get to the point where we can flip 10 houses at once, right? And I guarantee you can't flip 10 houses at once if you're doing all the work yourself. So the only way to do it is to figure out the systems, systemize everything, have processes, and have people to help you. So like, we even have a stay-at-home mom that does a lot of the paperwork and stuff like that. And, all that type of stuff. Like our highest value is analyzing properties, deal analysis, and estimating rehab. So everything else that we possibly can, we try to shove that off onto somebody else. And this is the piece that I'm really passionate about. If you guys know me, you probably already know this. But so like motivation, habits, developing persistence, understanding our behavior and biases, self-awareness. And then, dealing with fear, pressure, and stress. So I guarantee if you're going to be a real estate investor more than owning 1 or 2 properties, you're throwing huge amounts of money around. You have to be able to mitigate risk. You have to be able to deal with setbacks because it's not an if, or it's not a if, it's a when. You're going to have problems. Things are going to go wrong constantly. And you have to be, in the right state to where you can deal with those problems objectively without getting emotionally caught up in them. This whole self-development piece, I'm really big on this, and I've got a ton of books I can recommend you guys, but I think that's really important.
All right. So getting started, we talked about picking a strategy that fits your goals or where you want to go. I tell a lot of people that approach me that they want to learn how to flip houses, right? Well, all right, let's figure out where you want to go first and what type of lifestyle do you want to have in the end. Because if you choose flipping houses, but you want to be on a beach somewhere on your computer and have passive income coming in, flipping houses is the strategy that you want to pick, right? It's like active investing. You need to be there. You need to be involved. And once that one sells, guess what? You're looking for the next one. You're managing the next one. So it doesn't support that goal that they're trying to accomplish. So a lot of times what will happen is they'll go work through that process and they'll understand that their goal is that they want time and money freedom through passive income. That's this strategy. Everybody okay back there? All right, so that's a buy and hold strategy, right, for passive income. Flipping doesn't provide passive income. It's a completely different strategy. So you really got to start with your end in mind and understand what your goal is, and then pick a strategy that's going to support it. There's a lot of different strategies you can do, and this isn't even all of them for real estate investing, but we threw some up here. So buy and hold, wholesaling, flipping, lease options, owner finance, subject to, and the burst strategy.
Matt and I call it the squirrel syndrome. So like when you first start learning about this stuff, you're like, oh man, there's just all these different ways that you can do this, all these different ways to make money. You bounce from strategy to strategy to strategy. You finally figured out, all right, just focus in on one strategy, figure out what we're good at, focus in on an area, and that's when things really start to flow.
And that allows you to develop systems and processes around that strategy. If you're all over the place, they're completely different systems and processes, and you have to develop systems and processes for everything. Trying to boil the ocean is a little tough. All right, Steve, getting started. You got to build your team. So, some of the team members that we talked about: realtor, wholesaler, lender, short-term lender, long-term lender, contractors, title company, insurance agents, property managers, attorneys. These are probably the majority of them. I think there may be a couple others out there, but that's the majority of them. You want to have people or partners on your team that you can go to. We talk about developing systems and processes. It's important to have systems and processes that support your business and also support their business. So get somebody that you can work well with and get them on your team. Make that connection. Reach out to them.
So how do you guys think you go about finding these people, finding good ones?
Networking. Networking,
So,
referrals. I heard
definitely referrals.
Referrals.
If you go on Angie's list and yourself try to do all the work and figure out who the good people are and who the bad people are, you're going to create a ton of headaches for yourself. So go find the other people that are doing what you want to do and ask them, who are you using, get some recommendations, and it'll save you so many headaches. Before I found these guys, I had the insurance company from hell, and I actually almost, so I've made this mistake, I actually almost lost a house because they couldn't get the insurance in time to close on it.
There's a lot of moving parts. You've got to have good, competent people on your team. All right, so I think we're going to go through the section where we introduce our team members that we work with, and we're not selling anything tonight. If you guys have a team member that you're looking for, feel free to talk to them after and see if they work for you. We wouldn't bring them here if we didn't feel comfortable giving the referral out to individuals and that we work with them. So introduce yourself.